What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, it's Winged,
And a midget.
and we're kind of flustered today because
Yeah.
of at least one of the stories that one of the things we are going to be talking about
Things.
today.
Luckily, cigarettes are cheaper than bail still.
There is that, for the most part,
They're
for
almost
now.
they're almost more expensive than bail, but I'll still buy cigarettes over bail because pumpkin.
Yeah,
Orange is not my color.
don't take my lines here. So I guess like the first thing I do want to talk about, and probably the most shocking, irritating, infuriating, like what is going
We need
on
a
with this?
thesaurus for more adjectives like that.
So, in case y'all didn't know, there has been a sort of uprising or showing up or like an introduction. I don't know how else to put it, to some public schools where they have, like a lot of schools nowadays have like safe spaces.
Yeah.
Where students will voluntarily go into an open area, sit down with
Have
someone,
kind of a chill
and like just get out what they're frustrated about and what is going on that's causing them to have such an
anxiety.
adverse reaction, whether it's anxiety, whether it's a fit of rage, whether it's depression,
tears or
something.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I mean, it's something that we didn't have when we were growing up.
No, we just got told to suck it up and deal with it.
Or we got ignored, when it came to it,
And then we got made fun of as crybabies.
My big thing when I was younger and I had to deal with this crap was I'd go ahead and I'd start feeling this come up and I'd look at my teacher and I'm like, "Hey, can I use the restroom?" Well, no. Well, do you want me to piss on your floor right here, right now? Fine, go. And I'd go into the bathroom and I would do my thing. 9 times out of 10, it was more. It wasn't like me breaking down into tears or anything else like that, but it was denting the bathroom stall doors.
Yeah.
Well, one school in particular here in the fantastical state of Colorado has taken that to the next illogical step.
Like the fuck step.
So there was a story that came out that there's a school in the Denver school district where instead of having these open, safe areas, they would have more like a solitary confinement style room where they would take the child who was having an issue, unwillingly,
quite literally drag them,
kicking and screaming, literally put them into this room and bolt the door from the outside. Where the
is a fire hazard to begin with.
Oh yeah. Where the child would then go ahead and pretty much be told, "You're going to be in there until you're calm." And
I'd have done the same thing as these students, destroying that classroom.
There were a lot of maintenance reports that came out of it that of like walls needed to be fixed, holes being punched in them, desks being destroyed, so on and so forth. And the only real explanation that anybody really gave in defense of this was, well, school is like a prison, so why not make it like solitary confinement?
Yeah, no, school is not a prison.
I don't know if that's an actual quote. It's just what I saw on there. But it's like, this is what we're setting our children up with.
And you wonder why some of them go postal.
You wonder why shit like fucking I hate to say this, I really do.
Oh, I get
it. You wonder why shit like Columbine happens.
Like I said, you wonder why some of them go postal.
I mean, instead of getting the help that they need, instead of getting the support that they deserve, they're pretty much stuck in a room, forcefully moved into this room, and
locked in
there, and told, "Oh well." And that's it.
Which, like I said before, is not only a fire hazard, it's a safety hazard. What are they covering up? What are they not telling us in those reports on this school? How many children have gotten seriously injured? Has there been anybody that's died?
I don't think it. And here's why I don't think anybody has died in that aspect. If somebody had died, this story, this news, would have been out long before now.
Unless somebody's covering it up.
It's what it took for it to get out at this level was 7 whistleblowers.
7.
Had a child died, all it would have taken is 1. And it's not even really a whistleblower.
But you know what I mean, though?
It's not even really a whistleblower. There's only one set of people who would have to say anything, and it would have immediately caught everyone's attention.
The parents.
Yeah. So, like, I don't think anybody has died.
But you know what I mean, though?
The fact that they it did take 7 to go ahead and be like, hey, there's this issue. Hey, there's still this issue. Hey, there is still this issue.
And see, the thing is like, I get cover your ass. You want to keep your job. You love your job. You love teaching these kids. But when is enough enough? When do you step in and regardless of how you feel about your job, how much you love your job, how much you want to keep your job, do you say, hey, yo, whoa, wait a minute?
Well, at that point, I don't really think it's about them liking or enjoying or they have a
even
drive.
Even not being able to afford to lose their job.
Like, I don't think it's anything like that. For me personally, this reads as, this is a form of power that I now have over a human being because I have no power over my situation myself. This is straight up abuse.
It is.
And it's child abuse. And it's almost
neglect.
It almost is like, well, it's not my child, so I don't care. Yeah, let's go ahead and put your child in that fucking room. Let's go ahead and do that. Come on. Go ahead.
Guarantee you, even if their children were in that school, they still wouldn't be put in there.
Of course not. There are benefits to having...
Regardless of how they behave.
There are benefits to having a parent who is a teacher. That happened to me when I was younger. I went to school, and one of the kids that I went to school with, their mom was part of the faculty.
You know, and that's the sad part. It's like, why? Why did nobody speak up sooner?
Control. That's the thing. They did try to speak up, but it kept getting buried because this administration...
Cover up.
This administration, these directors of this school and everything else, didn't want anything to come out because it cost them money at the end of the day.
You know, I really want to know who the principal and the assistant principal and the faculty... like the upper echelon of the faculty
here's the funny thing.
In that.
Here's the funny thing. The original principal, when these reports started coming out, resigned.
Of course he did.
The assistant principal stepped up as an interim principal. And he went ahead and is being like, they're focused on him because he knew about the situation.
And he didn't speak up.
And a lot of the other faculty members that were aware of this or that participated in this are being placed on suspension without pay pending an investigation.
Here's an idea. Why not charge them all? Anybody that knew about it that didn't open their mouths and say something need to be charged.
I can almost guarantee you that once everything gets done, being investigated and being looked into and everything that happens, every single person from the previous principal and head person to the last person involved in the whole thing, they are going to catch charges.
You know who really needs to catch even more charges and lose their license for it?
Who that?
The counselors.
If the counsel, here's what I'll say.
Because if the counselors knew about it,
that's the thing,
and they allowed it to happen,
that's the thing. If the counselors knew,
and like they're not one of the whistleblowers, if they kept their mouth shut, they know exactly what that does to children's mental health. They know exactly what that does to a children's psyche. and they're going to allow it to happen, nah, those people should be charged even more.
Oh, yeah. Well, I won't say even more. They should be charged and held to the same standard because of the fact that they have this training, they have this knowledge, they have everything to go with it.
They need to be held to a higher standard because they have to answer to the medical board as well.
That is true. But they should still, like, in this instance, like, dealing with any sort of charges from, like, any criminal behavior, they should be held to the same standard as everybody who was more involved and actually participated in this.
It's what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
The thing is that there's going to be a secondary punishment for them because of the board that they report to.
And if they're culpable in it, they need to lose their license.
Forever.
Sorry. Forever.
Yeah.
There's no reason that you should allow abuse like that to continue.
Especially of like inside of a school. Like, can you imagine how much trust this school and this school district just lost? If it hasn't plummeted or completely fell out, I would be surprised.
Let's face it. I've been here 38 years.
Okay.
38 years out of my life. Denver Public Schools has not had very much of a respectability even when I was a child.
Yeah.
They have been the lower rung of the lowest echelon of the state school systems.
Okay.
They are considered the ghetto schools.
Okay.
Because it's Denver Public Schools, a lot of them are composed of the poorest neighborhoods in the state.
Yeah.
And which I get. There's going to be behavior issues everywhere. There's behavior issues in Cherry Creek schools, which is the upper echelon, snobby people.
Yeah.
There's problems everywhere, even in Littleton.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. This is
but
how
Denver,
the world is.
Denver either does not a damn thing about it or goes to the extreme. There is no in between. There is no, how can we help these students succeed? There's none of that.
No, for them, from what I've seen, having moved out here about 10 years ago and seen the kids go through Denver Public School, it's less of a, hey, how can we help these kids succeed, and more along the lines of, let's just get these little shits moved to the next level.
Or how can we get more funding out of them?
Yeah. Like, and that's the messed up part is schooling. It shouldn't matter where you're at or what wealth class you come from, etc., etc. Schooling is school.
You should be able to have an education, not worry about being thrown in. You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Matilda, the Chokey.
Oh, yeah, Miss Trunchbull.
Like, seriously.
Yeah,
I
can definitely see that.
I can picture that. Like, if our listeners have not seen Matilda.
Or read the book.
Go back and read the book.
Or seen either one of the two movies. There's multiple movies.
Or watch the movie with Danny DeVito in it. Absolutely hysterical. But watch that movie and read this report and tell me it does not sound eerily close.
Yeah, seriously.
Because you've got Miss Trunchbull, who's the principal of this school, who's so militaristic
anti-kid. Well,
and anti-kid.
It's less militaristic. It's more along the lines of power hungry and controlling, who
to the extreme
hates children, and yet they are the principal
of a school
and like the overall caretaker of children.
Yeah,
that's almost like going to, the witch from Hansel and Gretel and being like, "Hey, here are my kids. I need you to watch them for me."
Yeah,
and then coming back and being like, "Hey, my kids aren't fine. Where are my children?
Why did you eat my children?" No, and watch the movie with Danny DeVito and compare it to this story we're telling you.
I will say the new one is so much better.
Yeah.
I so much better.
But it reminds me of the chokey. Like, you'll understand what I mean, because it's
For those who aren't going to watch it, aren't going to read it, the chokey is like a locker, like a school locker that children get shut into and locked in for hours.
And it's got spikes, and they
Not-
can't sit
not
down.
when spikes, as in like they're not like stabbing into the child, like bleeding, but they are poking in areas where it makes it so uncomfortable, and it causes your muscles to
It
lock.
causes
Like, it is,
and you
it
can't
is-
move, otherwise you will get poked harder.
It's
and
torture.
It's torture.
It's almost like a non-lethal Iron Maiden.
It's like, you talk about cruel and unusual punishment, and there should be a picture of the fucking chokey right there. There should be a picture of this classroom right there. And that's the thing, is like, that has been on my mind since you told me about the story and I read it.
Yeah.
Is Matilda and the chokey.
Yeah.
Because it's like, holy crap. Why in this century are we torturing children?
Why in this century are we torturing anybody is a better question.
True.
But it once again, my personal belief is that it all is dependent and all comes back to power. I have power over this situation. I'm going to exercise my power in any way I see fit for my own benefit. And that's it. And nobody can tell me otherwise. It's what it boils down to.
And heaven forbid if you say anything wrong, like that first whistleblower, I could imagine what it was like to be them.
I can imagine them being pissed and them being frustrated, like, are you serious? Nothing is happening. So they went ahead and they had somebody else look into it. Just to make sure I'm not crazy, I'm not blowing things out of proportion.
But can you imagine the fear that person must have had when they first came forward?
Oh, yeah.
Because there had to be some meeting amongst the people who were...
Or an email.
Or, no, not email. Because you don't want to put it, have it be traceable. It's going to be verbally.
Yeah.
Because these teachers or these administrators have had a meeting and saying, this is what we're doing. This is the gold standard here. If you have a problem with it and you say anything, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, here's my mentality on this. Like, why did it take 7, right? Somebody says it the first time. Yeah, you can... There have been occasions where something has been like, okay,
look over here. This is what they're doing.
That's being
something else is going on.
Well, that's being blown out of proportion. Like, oh my God, these 2 children got into a fight, and it was just like, hey, you're mean. No, you're mean. Like,
yeah,
being blown out of proportion. I can see that. If it happens a second time, though, that's when you start being like,
wait a minute.
Hang on. They must have gotten somebody to go ahead and just go along with it. But that little seed of doubt starts forming. And then what happens a third time? My alarm bells are flaring. They are going off crazy. Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's go. Red alert, red alert.
Exactly.
I would have been like, yo, I'm getting the same story from 3 different people. I need to check this out. I need to put a stop to this. And the fact that it took 7 people, 7 individuals had to come and say individually, this is a problem, it's like...
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But here's another food for thought. So, think about something like this happening, let's say, when I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Not a damn thing would have been done, regardless of the reports. Because back then, you could legally...
Well, you could opt in.
No. You can opt in for the school paddling and all that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you could legally punish your child and swat them on the ass without fear of going to jail.
Yeah.
Now, we got kids dealing drugs in the middle of the school, and everybody's looking the other fucking way because, heaven forbid,
if you lay a hand on a child, and even if it's to stop something illegal from happening, you're being looked at as a child abuser, and you're going to jail.
Or my personal favorite, those parents that make a simple mistake, and their children are taken away and put in foster care.
Yeah.
But the ones that are slinging coke or doing heroin or meth, they get their children back and they get chance after chance after chance.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
It doesn't, but that's just,
and that's my thing. Is like, you look at the comparison between now and when I was in elementary school.
Well, when we both were.
Like, even early elementary school. Like,
yeah. I might be 5 years younger than you, but the same set of standards that you had, I had.
Mm-hmm.
We may have been in two completely separate parts of the country, but we still had the same set of standards. We were still learning the standard math, not this freaking Common Core bullshit.
Horseshit.
We were still being made to do book reports. We had a reading class, and
remember
we had
the bucket club through Pizza Hut? You get the free little pizza.
Yeah.
I wish they would start that again.
But you had a reading class, and then you had a literature or an English class.
Yeah.
And then you had social studies, and it wasn't like social studies back when I was growing up was you were observing countries and other countries' history, not just the United States, but like Russia and England and India and
we had
China
to do what we called country reports.
Yeah,
and
I had to do that too.
So we picked a country, any country that we wanted. We got to do this huge, you started at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year for your final, the final was the presentation of the different parts of your country.
I cheated. Here, I'll tell you how I cheated.
Where a bonus came in is like, say you made a dish and brought it in from that country. That's where a bonus kicked in. So, yeah, I did that too.
Here's how I cheated. My nonna was from Italy. She immigrated to Ellis Island. So, the country that I picked was Italy.
Yeah.
And before school ended, Easter happened. And my nonna would always come down. My nonna and Poppy would always come down. And we would have lamb and we would have ham and, but they would always bring, like my Poppy would always bring his homemade rolls. And my nonna would bring biscottis. She would bring patels. Like she would bring authentic, this is a recipe that she got from her mom from Italy. And make them. And I looked at her at one point. I'm like, can you give Mom the recipe for this? Because I have a project and I want to be able to get some extra points. I want to be able to bring some stuff in. And I would talk to her and my Poppy about it because, my Poppy grew up in New York City. I don't remember if it was Brooklyn or Queens. But
it had to have been Brooklyn because, remember, family ties.
Yeah. But his family was very much Italian. Like, his last name was Sassano.
Yeah.
My nonna's maiden name was Adele. But, so I would talk to the both of them, and what was funny with them is that they would start talking to me, and telling me about some of the stuff, and then they would look at each other and just immediately flip into Italian and start going back and forth. And I'm like, y'all realize that I don't understand anything that you're saying. My Poppy's like, we'll tell you about it later, and go back to talking Italian to each other.
Yeah.
And then they continue on their stories and all that kind of stuff. And I got so much. It was the only project I think I ever got a perfect grade on top of getting extra points throughout my middle school career.
I think I ended up with 134% by the end of it, which was really weird because I was the highest score in the school. And I think I still am.
I got 110, 115 because I brought 3 different style of cookies. and there was enough to share with the class.
Oh yeah.
But the reason why I say that was the only project in middle school that I completed with a perfect grade and all that, we had to do book reports.
Yeah.
And I never did any of them, ever. And when asked, I was like, because it's not a book that I'm interested in. I've already read it. Like, you gave this to us. You told us to read only a couple of chapters and do a book report on it. I can give you a book report on the entire book right now, but you won't take it.
So I kind of cheated in that aspect. So my dad, Bob,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, his big punishment for me was written book reports.
Yeah.
Because I hated doing them. Well, I always had, and I always asked my teachers for a reading list for the year. What we were going to be reading, what we were going to be doing, yada, 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 right?
Okay.
Well, if I did something stupid and quote unquote stupid and had to do a book report for my dad, I'd make sure it was on the book that was coming up next.
Yeah.
And then I'd just write it again, like write it over again, or even turn in the same copy I gave my dad. He was too drunk to notice it disappear.
Yeah.
And I would turn that in. So I was getting credit for the book reports after speed reading. Like, we did Schindler's List. I read Schindler's List and Diary of Anne Frank one year.
Yeah.
For our reading, part of our reading list. And I told my dad that I got to choose the book because he wanted to make sure it was a book I was interested in so I'd actually do it. So I chose the book out of our list that I knew was coming up next, just redid it and turned it in. And so that's where I got a better ability to write, but the thing is, I still hated it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely, like, have little workarounds, or I'd take a book report that I did for school and make a second copy of it and then give it over to my dad.
Just
pretend to be reading the book and, like, do something else.
Going back to what we were originally discussing, it disgusts me.
Yeah.
It pisses me off. And
it shouldn't be happening.
I hope that all those parties that were involved
culpable
get the retribution and the punishment that they fucking deserve.
Have the day that you deserve.
Very much.
Karma's a bitch. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is the one thing that people are
this is one
failing
of my
to give a shit about, or failing to realize the same people that you are putting through this torture
are the people who are going to be in charge of the country.
Yeah. And you're not going to be able to do a damn thing.
Well, I am going to force us to take a shift. Because as this is one of my hot buttons, and I can feel myself slowly starting to heat up and get angry, and I don't want to go
full psycho.
Yeah. So we're gonna shift a bit. As some of you guys may have, as most of y'all probably already know, this past week there have been wildfires on the island
Maui.
Of Maui. And there's been, like, it's not just a single wildfire, I found out.
There's several.
3 that started. And due to a typhoon that was in the area, for those of you who are unaware, typhoon is a hurricane just in the Pacific Ocean. That caused the wildfires to spread rapidly.
They spread like wildfire.
they almost completely burnt the entire island of Maui, like all the vegetation. Like they were
Oh yeah.
huge fires. A lot of coastal cities were ruined. A lot of touristy cities were burnt to the ground. There are
One of the turtle beaches
there
was destroyed.
are as it is right now about 56 reported to have died from these fires. They're still searching through everything.
They're piecing things together basically.
So, to those who may have family in Hawaii or those who are listening who might be in Hawaii, our thoughts and prayers do go out to you, and we hope that everything gets better. I'm actually going to go ahead and look up, and I'm going to see if there's any sort of donation to like any place to donate to.
While you're doing that,
Hawaii.
I'm gonna talk about it. Like,
well, no, I'll make sure that
we do it.
I'll put it in the link.
Okay.
Or I'll put a link in the description.
The one thing that I do have to say about it is help your neighbor.
Well, and here's the thing.
Seriously, if you have the ability to help somebody, help them, please.
Like, here's the thing about it. Like, a lot of the survivors who are in that area, they didn't get the wildfire notification that gets put out, kind of like how we have tornado sirens.
Mm-hmm.
Those didn't go off. Instead, they got like text messages on their phones, which, while that does help, and it is faster, at the same time it's not that noticeable. Like you can just be like sitting around bullshitting, see something, hear an alarm pop up on your phone, and it's either
you don't even pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's either like, oh, there's an Amber Alert. Okay, there's severe weather coming. Okay, but then like
if you're at work, you don't even look at your phone.
Yeah, but then it does help because there are some people who like they are on their phones more often. They can get word spread around a lot faster. It just, the fact that it wasn't broadcasted in a more public setting kind of irks me. They had so much there. If they were given enough time, they probably could have contained it a lot faster.
Saved more people.
Yeah.
Material things can burn to the ground, but people are the most important.
But the other thing is that most of what was burned was like extremely dry. Like there has been a whole lot of rain on Maui, from what I've read. I mean, there were people who were throwing themselves into the ocean to escape the fire, and there were some like ships and vessels and stuff like that, boats that were destroyed because of the fire. It just got like spread to them and just set it ablaze. It's tough to hear about, and it's tough to talk about, but making sure that you are there for your neighbor, because you never know what tomorrow brings. You never know what the next hour is going to bring. You could sit there and try to say, oh yeah, nothing's ever going to happen, and then like 5 minutes from now, something random happens. You're like, what the fuck just happened?
An update, 67 is the death toll now.
Geez. Oh boy. Like I was reading this one article. Family sitting in their living room just watching TV, and all of a sudden, it's just a real quiet night. Everything's all good. And the next second they know, there is the front of a car inside their house because somebody had gotten into an accident. And like, luckily, nobody was hurt. I mean, the driver had some bruises and scrapes and cuts and whatnot, but like none of the people inside the house were heavily injured. But like that's just an example. Like, you never know what's coming. So just let people know that you love them before you can't ever do that again. Be kind to one another. Help each other out when you can. Pretty much about it. All right, so I brought the two downer stories.
That's part of the reason why I was on here, because there was a story I saw earlier that was a feel good type story.
Let's go ahead and I did the 2 downer ones. Now you can give like 1 or 2 happy ones. It all depends on how long they stretch out and how much opinion we have of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the story I wanted to talk about earlier because I didn't think about it. And oh, actually, it's not going to be a feel-good story. There's another story I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Story of irony.
Okay.
Instructor at Colorado driving school plows through front of business's building.
Oh.
It's a business called Learn to Drive.
All right. So go ahead and start talking about that. Tell me a story.
He was it's this that stupid little driving school that's over by the DMV in Lakewood.
Yes.
And it's right by the DMV where I took Nathaniel.
Yes.
So he was trying to park a Hyundai Tucson. He found a place to park. You can't park there though. Yeah, it was like.
So what happened?
So he whiskey throttle. I'm thinking I haven't really gone into it too much because I was laughing too hard and I was trying not to cry. But
hang on real quick for context. Whiskey throttle is when instead of hitting the brake, you accidentally slam on the gas. And don't know where the terminology came from. Maybe, somebody who was drunk did that happen and they were drunk off whiskey. I don't know, but that's what whiskey throttling is.
So the reason I laughed so hard is because of the fact that the police officers around there, Lakewood Police,
yeah,
which they're awesome, but they're huge dickheads. It's so funny.
Like half and half.
They posted a picture to their Twitter and said, "Look up irony and you will see this."
Yeah.
And it shows a picture of the car under the sign that says "Learn to Drive," and the car is inside the business.
Well, I mean, he learned to drive. Turned that son of a bitch into a drive-through.
It's like, yes, there were people that were injured. That's not funny.
No.
There was nobody seriously hurt. There's minor injuries. Most of the people were able to get out of the way.
Yeah.
But for the owner of the business to be the one to
try to create it?
to try to create the drive-through.
Oh. Yeah. I can almost guarantee you he ain't getting his security deposit back.
Oh no, he owns that building.
Oh jeez.
So yeah, it's from what I'm reading, he owns that building, and it's just like, really, why, wait.
Well, like you said, sometimes whiskey throttling is not on purpose. It is an accident. Like, how many times have you personally had your foot on the brake? You're at a stoplight, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your foot slips off the brake and taps the accelerator, and so you jerk forward a little bit before you slam your foot back on the brake.
Yeah.
Like that happens. Or like you're tired, you've had a long day, and instead of putting your foot on the brake, you put your foot on the gas, right?
Yeah.
How many times did that happen? Like,
well,
I can see it happening as an accident.
Yeah.
Unless he did that on purpose to get like, hey,
insurance money.
Bring some more people over here. We teach you to drive, kind of,
We teach you to create a drive-through.
But like. It happens. Accidents do happen. And if you were to hold everybody accountable for every accident that they've ever done, that'd be a lot of accountability being spread around. But at the same time, that is funny. Because what is it, Learn to Drive?
Yeah.
Is like, we didn't have I don't think we had like that name, Learn to Drive, when I was in high school. Like, either sophomore or junior year, I had to take driver's ed, because my parents wanted me to learn how to drive, and they would get a discount on insurance if they had me on their insurance because I was driving the vehicle. So I can remember a couple of times where, like, the one that sticks out to me the most is I was driving with my instructor, and he's like, "Hey, you need to turn up ahead to turn back into the school," and I missed the first turn because he said it like
Right there. Yeah.
right there. He's like, "Hey, you need to turn here," and I'm like, "Oh crap!" So I slammed the brake, cranked the wheel. Apparently, I didn't hit the brakes hard enough because he hit his brake on his side, and we managed to pull into the exit part of the the entry drive. And he's like, "Yeah, that was on me.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you soon enough." You know, but like we didn't. It wasn't called learn to drive back like where I was at.
Yeah.
It was like drive right or something. I don't remember.
Yeah. I that's the funny story, but I found the feel good story.
Okay.
The headline reads: A bunch of capybaras adopted a stray orange cat in Malaysia, and now it's officially part of the enclosure at the country's national zoo.
That's adorable.
There's a kitty cat in the capybara exhibit.
That's adorable.
Yes. It's a whole family of capybaras.
Well, here, like, the capybaras are chill. Like, they are the biggest.
They look like giant guinea pigs.
Well, they're the biggest rodents on the planet. And, like, they're big enough, like, there's been pictures of a capybara sunbathing next to a crocodile, which would normally eat the capybara. And they're just sitting side by side on this riverbank sunbathing.
And his name is Oyen, the ginger cat. And he's there, and he is on display, and he gets visitors. He has people flocking to the zoo. And it's just like, it is so cool.
Like
a little house cat. And it's just like, he's apparently, so they introduced the cat into the official part of the enclosure in June.
Okay.
But when they originally obtained the capybaras and brought them in for recovery, and unfortunately they're not able to be released into the wild because the habitat is destroyed, basically.
Yeah.
And so they kept them in, they gave them to the zoo, which they're at.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't realize that one of the moms had a little stowaway, which was the kitten.
Ah.
He's been with that cat has been with that capybara family since it was teeny.
So it's a capybara.
Yes, it's a capybara.
Okay.
But it's just like they didn't notice because mom was so fluffy.
Yeah.
He was stashed like right here, and then all the other babies were around, so they didn't notice it when they brought it into the zoo. But it's been there since the.
That's the cat's family. That's the cat's pack.
And they
the
found
capybaras are like, yeah, this is one of us.
And they found that the cat is making the noises of the capybaras.
Yeah.
It doesn't meow.
Well, no, I mean, like, there have been instances where cats that are raised like from a kitten by like a pack of dogs, that cat won't meow. It'll bark.
And it'll pant like a dog.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, cats do pant. It's just very, very rare for them to do so because they are able to control their body heat a little bit better. But they do pant when they do get overheated, and it's interesting to see. I've personally seen it before. But yeah, like a cat will, if it's raised by an animal other than a cat, it from like a young age, it will develop habits of the animal that's raising it. Like there's the one that barks like a dog. There's one that gallops like a horse.
Yeah.
That walks around the farm like a horse does. You know. So for you to say, "Oh, you know, the cat is making the capybara sounds," that doesn't surprise me.
No.
I mean, there have been instances, you know, granted a lot of these are like fictional and, you know, not real, but like it's the same mindset of like behind Tarzan or behind the Jungle Book, like Mowgli's character, where you have a human that's raised by nature by like wolves or gorillas or stuff like that, and
Yeah.
so they develop the ability to communicate in some way, shape, or form with the pack. So that way they can, they can be a social creature and social
Yeah.
animal.
I get it.
You know, so like for this cat to do the same thing doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me in the least.
No, it doesn't. Like, but it just like, I don't know. It amazes me that the zoo is actually allowing the cat to stay.
Well, I can almost guarantee you that they tried at least once to separate the capybara and a cat, and that did not happen.
It's not
The
gonna
cat
happen.
attacked, the capybara got pissed, something happened.
Oh yeah.
Somebody had to go ahead and be like, no, well, we can't have this, or let's try to find the cat a better home.
Yeah,
It's like no, they are quite content with their capybara family.
Capybara. And that's the thing is like people.
Like, here's the thing.
It's great.
I can understand, like, humans as a whole have this weird urge to put things back how they were, or put things back in a certain category. Like, you see a cat who's being raised by dogs. What is your first reaction? Oh, we got to get the cat away from the dogs.
so
Let's
they don't
put it with another
get
cat.
hurt. Yeah.
Or like, hey, we found this random sea lion in this pack of seals. We have to move this sea lion over to sea lions. Stuff like that. They want to put things in order. It doesn't need to be that way sometimes. Like, sometimes...
Let nature take its course.
Well, sometimes doing that actually puts the animal under more stress.
Yeah.
And it's like it's pretty much them being ripped away from whatever home they've known.
Whatever family they've known.
And being put into a strange alien concept of like, hey, yeah, these things look and sound like me, but they're not my family. And 9 times out of 10, the animal that was moved, if they're able to, they go right back.
Yep.
Or they start heading back that way, and then they get injured and die, all because we tried to fix it.
Yeah, there's sometimes you just don't need to fix it.
You don't need to fix everything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Like, you see a cat being raised by capybaras, leave it alone.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna do anything. Capybaras ain't gonna kill that cat. The cat cannot kill a capybara. If it was like a jaguar or a puma or like a black leopard, they could kill they could kill a capybara for food.
Yeah, it just...
But it's highly unlikely if the cub is raised by the pack of capybaras. It's kind of like it's the Timon and Pumbaa mindset. What if he was on our side? That's what happens. That they become like, these are my people. Fuck off. Are you gonna contribute anything other than telling the story?
And that's the thing, is like, I agree with you. There's some things that just don't need fixing. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If the cat is happy and healthy, I don't give a shit less of the kitten being raised by a pack of wild dogs.
Yeah.
Like, leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes no sense to me. Did you have another story that you wanted to tell?
No.
Well, you were looking at something.
Yeah, I was looking at different things on the news stuff, and it's all depressing.
Well, I mean, it is the news. They don't make money, and they don't get people to respond,
to feel-good
absorb nice things. It's always gloom and doom. You know what? We're gonna cap this episode off by talking about that. Why? Why is it that we cannot have good news? Why is it always marketed as, oh, this is a feel-good story? No, why isn't it like, hey, this happened. We get stories all the time of like planes going down and crashing and disappearing, and trains slamming into cars, and car accidents and terrible stuff like that. But we never hear about like the freaking badass people who are like helping out animals that are stuck, or this person was in this car accident and they pulled themselves out to go help somebody else who was also in that car accident. Like, why can we not hear the good anymore?
You know what it is, right?
No.
It's the old, a train wreck. You gotta watch.
That is true, but even train wrecks end. There are cool things with it. There are good things with it. Why can we not show
The good.
the good? Why does it always have to be, this is the bad thing that happened today, blah, blah, blah.
And that's the thing. I happen to agree with you. But feel good stories, don't make the money. They don't make the viewers. They don't get the reactions.
I mean, this is
None of that.
This is why we don't have cable.
This is why we don't watch the news, even if we did have cable.
Well, I mean, we do watch the news in a sense. Philip DeFranco, we watch him. But like past that, I'll watch like snippets, on YouTube or whatnot.
Breaking news! I've rickrolled our son.
But like, stuff like that. Like, why can we not? Like, there's a YouTube channel, Zorro.
Yeah.
Does a bunch of like feel good stories, and we'll sit there and we'll watch them and we'll cry, like tears of happiness, tears of joy.
The coming home stories.
Yeah. Like, why are we not focusing on those?
We need to have a news channel that just does good shit.
That would be awesome.
That'd be friggin' awesome.
That'd be fantastic. Like, hey, we had a bunch of flights take off today, and guess what? Every single one of them made it, and there was like maybe 2 or 3 that had delays. Let's fucking go.
Hey guys, guess what? Nobody in my family died today. Yay!
Nobody in that family died. These are the people who are taking, like, let's give you a Banff of the day.
Seriously.
Like, this is stuff that, like,
instead of making everything Debbie Downer, just freaking make something positive.
I think that helps contribute to like the pessimism and the
depression
of this day and age. Like,
I get depressed when I'm watching the news.
If all that you're surrounded with is bad, that's all you're ever gonna look for is bad.
If all you do is surround yourself with negativity, all you're gonna get is negativity.
Well, no, it's not even that. Like, if you surround yourself in bad, all you will ever see, all you will ever witness will be bad. You can see something good. It's like, oh, when's the other shoe going to drop? Instead of seeing the good thing that happened, you're just like, oh, when's the bad thing going to hit?
You become a cynic.
Yeah. But like, if you surround yourself in good, you'll see good. I am a realist, so I like having a mixture between the good and the bad, the light and the dark, because that helps you see how the world is. Yes, there are terrible things that happen. Yes, there are terrible people who are still around. Yes, all of this bad and all this loss happens. However,
these are some of the positives that have happened.
There are. Look how many people have done this. Like, look at this one person who did something amazing.
Like when the adoption that dog shelter adopted all of its animals out because of their rent-a-dog program for Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Like, that was like a 2-second blip on a newspaper article.
Yep.
Wasn't even on the mainstream news. Like, where the hell did this go? And I mean, for me, coming from a more personal level, I could be having the shittiest day in the world. Like, I could be having a crap day at work. I could be, like, just in a really crap mood, not gotten much sleep, massive migraine, medical issues.
Same old.
Same shit, different day. And I will be having the shittiest day. And then you will post something to, like, you'll send it to me through TikTok or Messenger or whatever. And you have no idea how important those times are to me, where like you send me the Panther Ridge videos, or you send me the fluffy ferrets. Like, you send me
It's
the...
not fluffy. It's fuffy.
Fluffy ferrets. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you send me these videos because you know it'll make me smile. And it's like...
Like that little baby leopard.
Oh my God. The boobs. The toe beans.
Yeah. I
But
mean, like, sometimes that's
what everybody in the world needs.
we need
something to smile about.
Yes. We need a win. Because if you're constantly feeling like you're losing, your morale is going to dip, your sense of humor is going to falter, your ability to see beyond you is going to fade, and all you'll be left with is fuck this, fuck them, fuck that,
you.
fuck you.
Yeah.
And I may come off that way in real life. I'm not.
No.
I tell my friends.
He's a giant teddy bear.
I tell my friends, like, hey, if y'all ever need to talk, I'm here.
He's the nicest asshole you'll ever meet.
Thanks.
And I mean,
I say this with a smile because I'm actually taking that as a compliment.
And I mean, it goes everywhere, and kindness spreads like wildfire. Sorry for the analogy, but you know it does.
It spreads.
And that's
like
the thing. Like, you can do one kind thing, and that person, it's a pay it forward type deal.
Well, and even if they don't pay it forward,
it
like
makes
there
them feel
are
good.
some people who are like, I can't afford this to pay it forward, or they're just like, oh, I'm not paying this forward. I got something free. You know what? Even if that's the case, you still did something nice for someone else.
Yeah, and that should make you feel good.
Yeah.
So, story time.
Yay,
Having a really shitty day at work.
Mom, tell me a story.
Wednesday night. Having a really shitty night at work.
Okay.
My boss, more my supervisor, I should say, says, come here. We'll take over. I need to talk to you. I was like, okay. He goes, I know you're having a rough night, so I thought I'd tell you something that's going to make you laugh, and which means you're probably going to hell with me. And I kid you not, he told a Hitler joke that had to do with the Holocaust. And yeah, it was a very it was a very bad joke, but the more I thought about it, the more I chuckled. Yes, it was a terrible, terrible joke. Yes, it was something that, like, terrible in history that happened.
You would not repeat it.
No.
Ever.
No. It's one of those NSFW, like, behind
NSF
closed
ever.
door.
Like, this is, like, don't get me wrong. Comedians tell dark jokes all the time.
Yes.
You know, and like Craig Ferguson, for example. You know, one of his funniest bits that I can remember seeing in one of his specials is there are two types of people who you can make fun of whenever, and it doesn't matter. Nazis, because who the fuck, they're Nazis. Who the fuck cares about Nazis? And Canadians, because they know it's a joke.
Yeah.
Until you put a hockey puck in front of them, and then they go wild like Wolverines. But like, however, there are some jokes that push that envelope too far.
Oh, no, he pushed it to the line. It was a joke that I had heard before, but it kind of just clicked in my head again. It was like...
It was
the shower joke.
Yeah, intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, it was just like...
But like...
I was so stoic and so serious and so frustrated, so angry. And for him to just, like, be like, all deadpan serious. And
random dark humor joke here.
Yeah. And to just, like, break that down because he knew that I was struggling.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a terrible joke. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I tell bad jokes and I tell dark jokes myself. I have a bit of gallows humor and self.
Like, he's had some pretty
humor.
Anti-Semitic jokes lately, too. But, you know.
But I'm very, like, I have gallows humor. You know, I have, you know, jokes that make fun of myself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like,
you read the crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like he does this, and this isn't the first time. Like he does this whenever he thinks that I might be having a rough time, and he'll come up and say a stupid joke that some of them I cannot repeat. Some of them are so funny that I just text them to you, and you get these random one-liners in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because I'm bored. Yeah, but it's just like he comes to me with these, and that's why I love what I do, and I'm glad that I can work with people that are going to watch out for me like that.
Well, and sometimes, and this is where I'm going to leave this. Sometimes that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need somebody who understands you and your humor and is not willing or not afraid to tell that joke. You know?
Yeah, I mean the one that I told him.
You're not going to repeat.
No, it's not anything terrible. Well, it is terrible. So I'll tell you that another time, away from the mic.
Okay.
But he was like, I cannot believe you just said that. And I will keep that in mind. And yeah. Well, so it's fun.
Yeah.
I love it there.
So here's what we're gonna end this with.
Denver Public Schools sucks.
Yep. Quick summary. Denver Public Schools suck.
Suck a dick.
The Hawaiian wildfires suck.
Yeah. Kitty cat capybara.
Kitty cat capybara. Fantastic.
Kitty bear.
Learning how to drive into a drive-through.
Hilarious. Irony.
News in general sucks, but try looking for the feel-good stuff.
If you want news in its entirety, look up Philly D, because he has the best perspective.
He doesn't go over every piece of news, but he goes over some of the big stories.
Yeah, he has a great way of putting things.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you all for listening to the podcast. We really do appreciate it. If you're listening to us on Spotify, go ahead and hit that download button. It really does help. Tell Spotify, like, hey, we like what we're hearing. If you do want to donate to the Hawaiian wildfires, I am going to be putting a link in the description.
That you do have to do. Look at the link.
If you want to give back to the show, there is the link in the description as well to donate to us, to give us money.
Keep in mind, with the link to the Maui wildfires, there's more than one way to help.
Yes.
You can donate.
It doesn't have to be money. You can donate time. You can donate.
You can volunteer. You can give, like, shelter items, non-perishables, clothing.
Do like a mini food drive.
Exactly.
For your neighborhood, and then take that and then go drop it off
at the post office. And I'm pretty sure most post offices, if you're saying this is going to the Maui wildfire victims, they're going to send it for free. Right. I can almost guarantee you, just ask.
Yeah, it never hurts to ask.
Postmaster generals are great.
Anyways.
Don't forget to love each other.
Don't forget to love each other. And
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Except for the Denver Public Schools.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.